Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Galactic Gumbo, episode number 45. I'm your host, Mike. You can find me everywhere as Angry Mike. Dakota is supposed to be here. I don't know where he's at. He said he'd be here, so I guess he's just running late as usual. But we got a newcomer to our little circle of gents. This is Daniel Thompson. Go ahead and tell people about yourself and where they can find you at and what you do and stuff like that before we get into our topics.
Yeah, my name is Dan Thompson. I'm the owner of the Zone Comic Shop. It's a comic and toy store in Louisville, Kentucky. We're kind of a big G.I. Joe store. Had like Larry Hama there a couple years ago. It was a pretty cool experience. I also write a graphic novel called The Dominus, which we just wrapped up late last year, wrapped up a really good Indiegogo crowd sourcing thing for. Been a big G.I. Joe fan since I can remember. Collect comics and toys. I've been reading comics since I was 9. We'll just say that was a couple of years ago. I've got a big G.I. Joe collection. Big fan of the hobby. Big fan of comics in general. And just love to talk about the stuff, buy it, sell it, trade it, and enjoy the hobby with fellow fans.
And where can people find your store at?
Okay, you can go to zonecomic.shop.com. That's our website. You can also look up Zone Comic Shop on Facebook, and you can also look me up on Facebook. And then my Twitter handle is Dan Thompson 2727.
And how long you had that store now?
This is the 12th year. The store's been in business for 26 years, and December 14th will be 12 years for me owning it.
Cool. All right. So still no Dakota. I don't know where he's at. I can't believe he did this to me. Hold on a second. He just texted me. He's probably eating. He's on his way. So we'll get into it, the topics as soon as he's on his way. So now, didn't you do JoeCon this last time?
Yeah, I actually met you in person at JoeCon.
That's what I thought.
I've known Fred Meyer for years, but
I've
never met him in person.
I'm sorry, you know him.
Well, I do drink some wine every now and then. That helps me get through it.
Oh, you need more than one deal, Fred. You need a couple of shots of tequila. It's like a bad rash won't go away.
I won't say who Fred reminded me of in person, but
you can tell me off air. I can make fun.
I will. We can use it as an avatar. Yeah, I saw you at JoeCon. Went with a couple of buddies from the shop. We had a really good time. Yeah, it's sad that it's the last one, but I can kind of understand why. But
right.
I'm sure that's an entire show right there.
Oh, there's a number of shows we can have all kinds of conversation with JoeCon.
# cease and desist.
They did that. I guess you went to that one, didn't you? Did you go to the one what was it? In Louisville, BotCon?
Yeah, that was.
That's right. You told me you and Orson.
Yeah,
that's right.
Orson Christian runs CapturedPrey.com. They do a lot of Transformer masterpieces and third-party Transformer toys, and he has a case at my store. And so we found out BotCon was going to be in Louisville, and it was the last one. I was like, well, man, this is great. I mean, this will help my store and your business. We'll do like a kickoff party. And so obviously we couldn't call it BotCon kickoff or anything like that because we don't own the rights to it, nor will we try to. So Orson made up a flyer and kind of a generic thing to put on the web, and it was like unofficial BotCon kickoff party, and didn't have any of the logo, any of the font, any of that stuff. And so I think it was my off day, and I was downstairs playing a video game, waiting for my wife to get home, and I was checking my email. I was in a load screen, so I was checking my email, and I was like, why do I have an email from Brian Savage? And it was this big, long, lengthy official email, and you better sign this or you're going to hear from my lawyer. And I'm like, what in the blue hell is going on? So we got a cease and desist on calling it the unofficial BotCon kickoff party. So I don't remember what we called it. Maybe the unofficial, what party or something. It was really weird because the thing that kind of irked me was, I own a store, I own a business, and I got to pay rent. And when you ask me to pass something out, most of the time, like I get freebie stuff to pass out to people or flyers. I do it, because it grows our hobby. And they specifically went out of their way to ask me to pass out flyers and stuff. And I thought, one, that's something like you want to use my real estate and my customer base and my time and my employees' time to pass these out, but then you want to like go legal on us because we said unofficial BotCon party. So I just,
Oh, wow,
yeah.
that's pretty shitty.
So
Wait,
I didn't go
so
to it. Orson, of course, did because he had a booth there or something, and I just like I don't want to go there because I don't want to run into him because I just like to me it was childish. It's like a phone call, like you know, it actually it helped his cause because we had all these people come to the store. I had people from Japan that were in my store. I was trying to I can kind of read lips and kind of I'm not going to say I'm like a expert on, I'm not Breaker, I'm not some expert on communications or whatever, but like I can kind of understand what people are saying. I used to be in the telecommunication business and I deal with people overseas and stuff, and clients that would go on trips and come here and all that, and so I could kind of understand what they were saying. But it was like, man, this is really cool. I've got these cats from Kyoto, Japan. I've got some guy from Spain. I've got people from all over the U.S. They're hanging out in my store. We're all Transformer fans. I was like, I don't understand what his problem was. It's because they're all going to go to this show. So, whatever. I think I saw him at JoeCon and he just kind of walked away. I was like,
Dakota,
that's probably good for him.
Dakota,
Not that I would do anything, and there's nothing to do anything about because
right?
it was just childish. And I'm like, man, who does that?
Dakota, what it was. Remember when Orso was going to do that like pre-BotCon party at a comic store?
yeah, it was gonna be like a oh Jesus, it was supposed to be like you can come pick up your third party stuff if you ordered it, kind of prior to then, and like buy the unofficial stuff and
Yeah,
all of that.
it was his store.
Oh,
That
no kidding.
he got the letter, or Brian Savage sends an email telling him
See,
to
I
fix
didn't
the
know that.
store.
I just like the only thing that I knew was that like it was still going on. Like I didn't get anything unofficial that year. Like 2016 was just a year like either I'd gotten everything that I wanted prior to, or I just didn't like. There just wasn't anything like third party related for me to buy.
And Mike, you want to hear
And
something even really, really funny? Like
Yeah.
towards the end of the deal we had that night, the power goes out in that area of town.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh my God, Brian Savage just cut off our power. How is this possible?"
Savage
like
working the gods.
that's another thing, man. He was always very I don't want to say fearful, but very self-conscious with when anyone used that botcon name. Like we know that the dude that had the Facebook page, like anytime like the logos or the name was used in some kind of a showy fashion, he was on it. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I got an
I
idea why.
I can
Cha-ching, but
I can understand that as a business owner because you got to protect your trademarks and your intellectual property and all that.
yeah, you're right, dude. A phone
But
culd would have sufficed,
but
or just
BotCon,
an
but I mean,
email.
it's an unofficial Hasbro event, so like you don't own Transformers. Hasbro does. Uh, and it's almost I don't know. It's kind of like a generic term, like oh hey, we're going to BotCon. Like oh I'm going to Disneyland. Like, well, do you owe Disney a quarter every time you say it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
and yeah, like I know that he was like I remember the deal whenever he was asking people that got what was it 2007 got those figures early off of eBay or something like that. He was like, yeah, y'all need to return that stuff so I can get my money back or something like that. Like that probably wasn't the best call to make. But yeah, he was just very strange and like but that that's something like I mean clearly you weren't trying to hide your identity or who you were
oh no,
or
and
anything like
honestly,
that.
if I remember correctly, I don't think we used any of the logos. It just said in a different like a transformery type of font, whatever the font was for Transformers. It just said unofficial BotCon kickoff party.
Yeah,
Just
like
like it.
still an email or a phone call. Like clearly he had your information if he was sending you a C&D.
Yeah, I didn't even get like a
Like
certified letter. I kind of felt offended. Usually they send like a certified letter. You got to sign it. It was just an email.
Oh, nothing notarized or anything like
No,
that.
it was just an email.
That's savage for you.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, if it's an email, like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking like I remember I heard you say cease and desist. I'm thinking like an official like court cease and desist document.
Yeah, I called my attorney about it, and he was just like, just appease the guy, whatever. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, and but that was like in 2014. The dude from was it Collection Intervention or something like that?
Yeah,
He
they
was
shut him down too.
Yeah, he was doing something like a documentary he dumped a bunch of money into called Transform Me or something like that. And he was like kind of premiering it there, or wanted to premiere it there, and wanted to do this and that.
He
And
actually got a room. He got one of the little smaller rooms to view it in.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw Becky Savage see that sign they had posted outside on like a tripod, and she picked it up and took it away.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
So yeah, they were really.
And like I said, dude, like I like to kind of give the benefit of the doubt. Typically, up until a point, like I know that Hasbro had to breathe down their neck when it came to their trademarks and being a license holder and all that other stuff. But
I don't know.
Just certain
you think
ways
they'd
you
be
handle
very
stuff.
hands on with that, and I kind of the impression I've gotten recently with Hasbro is they're very hands off and kind of aloof.
Well, the current brand team, of course. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe it may just be something with who. You have a license with them, and you're doing this, and you have their trademarks and their names, and you're representing them, blah blah blah. They may be a little hard ass about it. Like I said, just to spitball a benefit of the doubt sort of thing there. I remember. Oh man, now I can't remember. But I remember that kind of being a thing. It was with something. I don't know what, but it was with something. But yeah, like they just should have gone about it a different way for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, especially I guess technically because I'm was one of his customers with the Joe Club, but it's just I think an email or a phone call. Hey man, really can't use that. Okay, cool, we'll change it. No big deal. But it's just like, wow, man, we're going nuclear right out the gate.
Right, yeah. and that was also whenever like that whole unofficially licensed IP infringing blah blah blah. That stuff was like they were heavy handed with that stuff that year.
Interesting.
I know that was like that was a big deal. Now it's like you said, they just don't seem to care.
Well,
but I know.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Well, I say they don't seem to care, but it's like TFCon was gonna show the Transformers animated movie in the Los Angeles show this year, and I guess someone from the Hasbro office right across from the venue that they were at in Los Angeles sent over a letter like, "Hey, you can't show that."
Oh, yeah, I've never heard about that.
It's weird that they outsourced BotCon and JoeCon, and when I first heard that okay, BotCon's going to be done, JoeCon's got a couple more years, they're going to do HasCon, which I think is a terrible name. It just sounds like oh man, I got HasCon this year.
It sounds like someone stealing from you. Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like something that like Jim Rockford on the Rockford Files would investigate. Like some type of Ponzi scheme. And but I thought, it's kind of cool, kind of a cool idea, like because you could really bring in a whole bunch of people like G.I. Joe fans, Transformer fans, there's Star Wars and Marvel property fans. They're all their brands, My Little Pony, the stuff that they don't do anything with, like Mask and Micronauts and the board game. I thought that could be a really cool like pop culture thing. And then Orson actually, I can't remember if he went to it or if he was going to go to it. I'd have to ask him. But he was like, dude, it's ridiculous how much the tables are. And it's like, you can't bring
$1,000 for a table. And they had to like pre-screen you. And because there was somebody that bought a table and they ended up saying, no.
Yeah, I remember that. HasCon was a joke. Period. That's all it was. It was a complete
I
show.
was never supportive of that. As soon as I kind of read more into the premise, I was, at first I was like, oh, okay, like I can get a little bit of, a little bit of BotCon and a little bit of JoeCon
Well,
all kind of together.
I could be wrong on what I'm about to say, but I remember Orson telling me, pardon me, that it was something like, so say you had a Optimus Prime mint in the box, and you really wanted Peter Cullen to sign it, and you couldn't bring it. You'd have to buy something that's there for them to sign.
They they ended up lifting that rule for what it's worth. Yeah,
like,
but like that should have never been implemented in the first place.
So say you say you come to a shop like mine and you buy a mint Optimus Prime. Can't think what they go for right now, but just say it was like $500, and you're so excited. Your wife lets you do it. You saved up all summer. You're gonna go get your hero to autograph it, and they won't let you take it in. But you can go buy another one for $600 or $700 at a con price at their con. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
Oh, with Cullen there, they probably would have charged $1,000, because clearly somebody would have wanted it signed, and but yeah, like that should never have been, a part of the stipulation. And then and then like the attendance tickets were what was really just like asinine. It's like $600, golden ticket prices.
Oh my gosh!
And you didn't get anything. Like I think that the Joe package was probably like a little bit better, but like the Transformers package, it was like you didn't get a single thing.
Well, I tell you, I can't imagine what their own convention would be like, because when the year I went to San Diego Comic-Con was the year they did the Transformer G.I. Joe crossover with Jetfire and the Sky Striker. And I like the thing. If I ever go to San Diego again, I'm not going to tell anybody except my wife, my son, because it was so stressful because I had like pages of stuff people wanted me to pick up. And it's like, man, this is like work, like work times 10, what's going on?
Right.
And I was able to get 2 of those, one for me and one for a buddy. But like the crap you had to go through to get in the line to get that, it was terrible. Like I remember we get in there, me and my buddy we got there like Thursday. It had been open for 45 minutes. And I don't even remember what area we walked into, but I saw the Hasbro sign. I see Star Wars, and it's almost like, and the Predator, when he takes that mask off and everything goes red, like everything's like, and I was like growling like the Predator. I'm like, oh, let's go to Hasbro. So like I go over to the toy display and I'm like, hey, where do you go pick up the exclusives? And they're like, right over there. That's our booth, but they're closed for the day. I was like, they're what? It just opened. And I was like, oh, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about. So I go over there. I'm like, hey man, what do you got to do to get in line? He's like, you got to get a ticket. I'm like, well, I got a badge. I got a plane ticket. Like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, we give out tickets at 4 a.m. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, you got to be kidding me. Like, no, we randomly select an area in San Diego, and then people line up there. I'm like, well, I'm not from here. I don't know San Diego. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I was pissed. I called my wife. I was like, this sucks. It's terrible. I want to come home. She's like, calm down. It's the first day. I get in line to get something for an employee. I'm in line for 45 minutes. Like literally, it's like that X-Men cover. Welcome to the X-Men. Help you survive. It was like, welcome to San Diego Comic-Con. Help you survive, Dan. I get in line for 45 minutes just to be told I can't buy the item until Saturday, and this is Thursday. I was like, fantastic, awesome. So Friday, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get in this line somehow. So I had like 1,000 cash on me and then a credit card and all that. So I pull out $100 and I got it in my pocket. And I got my hand in my pocket and I go up to this guy. I'm like, hey man, what do I need to do to get in this line and get a ticket? And I was waiting for him to give me some BS. I was like, well, man, this is $100. So I start to pull the 100 out, and he goes, oh, well, they're giving tickets out over there. And I was like, thanks. And I pushed that thing out of my pocket so hard. I was like, thanks, man. So I get in this line, and it's like, I'm like, what is going on here? It's like this like really big, tall black dude and this really stout white guy, like kind of like Wolverine without hair, right? And like they're running this line, and like everybody's kind of walking in a circle. And I was like, you're telling me they go get in the line? I was like, okay. So I get in the line, and the little white guy's like, I don't hear my choo-choo. Where's it at? And grown men are going, choo-choo. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And like, they were like trolling everybody in the line. So like, they had these tickets in their hand. They were like making you pace around. and it would get bigger and bigger, and it was like it was like a block in the intersection at the con, where the like security guards were coming up like, hey, y'all got to get out of the way, quit playing. And so like they would like, so say like Mike was in line and there was like kind of a young girl in front of him. Well, they would go to Mike and like, hey, you want a ticket? And Mike would go, well, hell yeah. And they go, nope. And they give it to the girl. And they would do that constantly.
I would kick his motherfucking teeth in.
Oh, it gets better. Like, it gets better. It gets way better. And I'm
first of all, let me like there's a few things like you want me to walk in a circle and say choo choo, I'm gonna punch you in the face. Then you want to walk up to me and say, here's a ticket, and do you want a ticket? And I say yes, and he gives it to the person next to me. I don't care who they are. Like, I'm going to spit in your face and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
Trust me, there were some dark thoughts going through my head.
Angry Primal Sabbath tonight.
Dude, like, no, him just explaining it to me, like this whole ordeal he's been explaining to me has given me like contact anxiety. Like, I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me.
So it gets better. So the line, the train track, if you will, is getting bigger. And so like literally there's these two guys that are talking across the way from each other. Like, oh, what are you looking for? And blah, blah, blah. And so the guy that was like near me, his wife and son were in front. So they give her the ticket, right? And she's like, grabbing him, come on, we got a ticket. So, and I'll moderate my language. I don't know what our rating is, so I'm going to moderate my language with what happened. So she's yanking on him, like, come on, baby, come on, we got a ticket. So he's like, hey, man, see you later. I'll see you around. So he ducks down under the rope, and they're maybe like 2 feet in front of him. So he's walking behind him, and the black dude and the white dude charge him like Goldberg. And he goes, what the F are you doing? And the big dude got in his face, and the little guy got next to him, and they're like bowing up on him. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? And I just like put my finger to and the dude's like, get out of my face. He goes, you don't cut the line. And the lady's like, dude, it's my husband. He's got the money. And she's like, come on. And like, they just stared him down. I was like, what the hell is going on? It's just toys. So like, I just got my finger I'm just like, don't run your mouth, Dan. San Diego's pretty. You probably don't want to spend the night in the jail here, but just don't run your mouth.
Oh, I 100%. I would be, I'd definitely be stirring someone's salad.
I got my revenge the next night though. So I get, they finally start giving out tickets. I get my ticket, and so I ended up getting two of the Jetfires and some other things, but they were sold out of Black Series Boba Fett with Han and Carbonite. And the very first person I told I was going asked me to get him one. I was like, I got you. And I couldn't get him one. So they were sold out. I'm like, how do you sell out of an exclusive? You're the company that makes it, So
that's because they only allow so many per day to be sold. And that's it.
I could tell you, oh my God, I could tell you stories about just from the conversations I've had with the buyers that deal with them, how they they overpromise and under deliver. Anyway. So Saturday, I'm content because I got most of my stuff, and I'm walking by the booth, and they're like, hey, you want a ticket? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll take a ticket. And so before I get into this, you all remember the Chappelle Show? And it was like the last season he was on it. He was only on like a couple episodes. And one of the episodes, he was going around to people that treated him like crap before he got big. Like, you had the girl that dumped him, and so he made.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
He's like, leave your husband for me, and your kids, but take them to the airport. And so they go, and he's like, I'm rich, bitch, and you ain't coming along. And like flies off without her, ruins her life. Then he goes to like the club with the guys in the wheelchair, and like Dave kicks him down the chair or the stairs. And as he's walking out, he's like, ha, 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 and the club blows up. So that was my moment. I was like, hey, do you guys, I started to walk in the line. I was like, hey, do you guys have any of the Boba Fett with the Carbonite? And they're like, oh, we sold out. I'm like, man, I don't need your fucking ticket. And I threw it up in the air and kind of like strutted out like Dave Chappelle. I felt so great. But it was just,
dude.
So I can't, like, that experience, like I've never been one that, like, I'm going to go call the company and complain about an experience or something, but like that, the way they handled that, and then honestly, they missed an opportunity to make millions of dollars, or I mean, maybe not millions, but like hundreds of thousands of dollars on these exclusives. And I was like, already, I know a way they could do this better, but I was like, the way they were treating customers, it's just uncalled for. And so I can't only imagine what their con was like, if they have the same people
Right.
involved in it. It just you would end up in jail in Rhode Island.
The way the way I understand it, I know a few people that attended, and I think that I don't think there was any kind of crazy shenanigans. The only thing like I remember is that like the line for the RC was or and whatever else. It was just a very long line. As far as like a lottery system for a ticket, I'm not sure. And it's like they may have done the lottery system like the first day or two or whatever, and then come Sunday, they probably didn't. Again, like I don't pay attention to their Star Wars or their Marvel stuff usually, because
what are you into?
I'm into Marvel stuff, but I'm into 3 3/4 inch Marvel, like anything 6-inch, except for the Jim Lee X-Men stuff coming out. I stay away from. Never been super into Star Wars, but I'm waiting for them to do a new Mandalorian mold. And like I'll probably pick up however many of those that they shell out. I cherry pick. I just like the way the Bobas and that Mandalorian armor looks. But I'm more or less a Transformers guy.
Yeah, that's one of my two. Like when I was a kid, I'm 10 and 11 years older than my sister and brother, and at some point my mom and dad sat down with me and they're like, "Look, you were the only kid," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool," blah blah blah, and but your sister and brother got to get their stuff, so you're 2 toy lines, and I was like, "Well, that's easy, GI Joe and Transformers." Because to me, Star Wars ended with Return of the Jedi, and they did such a nice job wrapping it up, for the most part. And so, like, you're a kid, you play like the Return of the Jedi adaptation, and then like you play your last battle. And so I've kind of had this weird relationship with Star Wars since I was a kid. Like, I love the original trilogy. Empire is my all-time favorite movie. But like, I've got, I don't want to say a bunch of Star Wars Black Series figures, maybe about 50 or 60. And I'm literally thinking about packing them up and taking them to the store and selling them tomorrow, except for like Vader, the Bounty Hunters, and probably like Bespin Luke or something. It's just I don't know, like GI Joe, Marvel Legends, Transformers, and Ninja Turtles. I guess is kind of my jam. But
right, yeah. I mean, fortunately, I just like it's for me. It's just Transformers, and I'm pretty selective on which ones and. I say it's fortunate for me just because it's like, well, I get to save money. It's like, well, I'm not really saving money, It's still like it's still a pain.
Are you getting an Omega Supreme?
No, I'm like most of the mainline stuff. I'm skipping out on. I picked up the mainline, the Siege Megatron. I was because I got the G2 one first, the Combat Hero one that they did. And I really liked it, so I was like, "Well, I'll pick up this Megatron and mess with it and kind of see." But the only reason I did all that is because I'm reading the current comics, and I like that they use the designs of the toys, and it makes me want to have like a shelf for those figures. But then I get, I see the news that it's like, "Oh, hey, coming in September or July or whatever, we're going to be doing some thing with the Constructicons," and it's like, okay, is this going to continue the story? Like. They're giving it a different name. It's going to be a monthly book. Like, what's going on? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
like that's kind of like that's very much turning me off from, because I was real close to just dropping, whatever, couple $100 to get, the Prime, the Chromia, the Prowl, the Ironhide, the Soundwave, and the Starscream.
Well, I was going to tell you if you change your mind on the Jetfire, the Omega Supreme, I still have a few available. With our pre-order, and I'm $10 cheaper than Big Bad Toy Store on Omega, and $5 cheaper on Jetfire, and I still have a few available because we usually sell those Titans, man. It's a pricey invoice, but we sell out of those like you wouldn't believe.
Right, I could I can believe it, dude. The people really love the big bots. A lot of it for me, it just depends on if they show up in that book, like.
How did you like the IDW comics?
All right, the original, or I mean, like the previous run, rather, or the current?
Not the reboot. I haven't read the reboot yet.
Okay, you must be talking about the last 2 series then.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, dude, I've got everything from the past IDW run. Dude, I loved it. I loved whenever they kind of my personal favorite like is from All Hail Megatron through to the end, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But I was a huge fan. So like I'm typically I have a Lost Light shelf, or of like the kind of main crew of that. I was trying to get everyone that was on that ship. 200 something bots. I was like, well, there's some of these that are cheap enough. I could get them. And then like I started looking into it. I was like, between third party and official offerings, like there's no way I'm ever gonna see Tripodica or like any of these other crazy things. So I sold everything except for the quote unquote Team Rodimus crew. But I really love those stories and those figures, and it's like half and half official and unofficial toys.
I really like how they kind of gave a really cool backstory to Megatron. How he wasn't always a villain; he was almost kind of like a Martin Luther King Jr. And then just got pushed into it because of the Senate. I thought that was really cool. And the when he takes care of the was it the DJ?
Oh, the DJD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, that force field's not going to protect you. No, it's not. It's supposed to keep you in with me. And just like went buck wild on him. Now,
I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Like that was essentially what I read for. Like, dude, that's the thing, man. I loved Megatron in the old IDW. He was calculating. He was always 6 moves ahead of you.
Yep.
And it's just like even Tarn thought I'm gonna outdo you. I'm gonna talk you to death. And Megatron was like, absolutely not. I'm about to ruin your entire life. Your career is gone. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter how old Ric Flair is. He's still Ric Flair,
Yeah, exactly. But kind of just real quick to kind of go back to HasCon. $600 for the tickets, and it's like they ended up bringing in like New England Patriots and like Flo Rida and like all this dumb shit, dude. Like it was just so.
No one gave a shit about it.
No, dude.
WWE brings in Flo Rida all the time, and nobody cares.
Yeah, who even? I was like, who even is this guy? And talk
about a cease and desist. Flo Rida in Florida. I mean, come on,
Oh, seriously.
Brian Savage and Matlock need to get on that one.
Yeah, dude. Man, like, and so of course, like that was 2017, and they were like, we're gonna take a break in 2018. We'll be back in 2019, and like this year rolled around, and they're like, yeah, we don't think we're gonna come back.
I'm looking at it right now. I want to see if the website was still up, and it still has it up there. HasCon 2019 has been postponed.
Of course it has, because like, dude, I saw the attendance. I saw because they had the big that big auditorium thing full of chairs, empty chairs. Like I remember seeing the Transformers thing was like 2 rows. And I was just like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that was bad. That was so bad.
And they had it up in Rhode Island, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's just, nothing against Rhode Island. But it just seems like an awkward place to have a convention like that. Like, I'm thinking like New York, Chicago, Atlanta, somewhere that's, nothing's going to be close to the West Coast. Like Nevada's not close to the West Coast because it's so far, travel and shipping and all that jazz. But like Atlanta, Chicago, hell, even Louisville. Our dumbasses that run the city couldn't figure that out. But it just would be, I don't know, like a better venue maybe. Where people can
I remember there was
get to it and there's things to do. So like New York Comic Con, like you go up there, you're still in New York. You can run around New York or Chicago. You're in Chicago. You go eat Chicago pizza. There's other things to do. Like
what does Providence, Rhode Island offer that nowhere else does?
I mean, there was that Jim Carrey movie where he was like a state trooper. Maybe you can like look for him. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I remember there was a BotCon in Rhode Island.
It was 7, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Granted, they showed the movie and all the other stuff. They did all the
tour of the shop and all that.
Yeah, they had like the tour of Hasbro and like HasCon, I think, did the tour of Hasbro too. But it just like I think that was another 150 tacked on to, whatever your $600
Yeah.
package was. And it's just like it just wasn't like, dude, if you're not getting, a trunk load of toys at that $600, and like, that's the thing, let's see, back then, or even just comparing it to the last BotCon, it was like, it was either a golden ticket or it was like basically you got, 2 box sets, so 12 figures. And they paid a license, but it's like, if it's coming from Hasbro directly, that's like the equivalency of 24 figures. Because I mean, we saw with the G2 Megatron combat, the thing from Pulse, that they didn't up that price from the retail price, or if they did, it was like $5 or something like that.
Wasn't as much as BotCon was always charging.
Well, no, because like there's they cut out the license holder, they cut out that middleman, and that I will give them that. They could have absolutely charged whatever Fun Pub would have charged for a Voyager.
Right.
50 or 60, 65, $70, whatever.
So when you think like your inaugural convention, you'd have free tours at Hasbro. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have it up here. We know it's kind of out of the way, but we're going to offer a free tour at Hasbro. Like, it's go out with your, start with your best foot forward. I'm not saying do that every year, but it's your first one. You want people, that buzz, that word of mouth, people getting online like, man, prices were okay, but we got to go see Hasbro for free, and that was cool. And, that would be kind of neat, but but unfortunately, they probably like, oh, it was a bust. We won't do it now, because they won't get out of their own way. Like, well, what did we do wrong? What could we do better? Maybe we should look at other conventions. Maybe hire somebody that runs conventions to do this, not Jim.
Well, it's like that's what they had. I mean, they had that with, and the way I understand it was like some of the license holders got to keep their convention licenses. Like, I think one of the groups that runs the Magic the Gathering convention, like, they got to keep their license, and
My Little Pony did too, I think.
Yeah, one of the My Little Pony licenses did as well. It was just Transformers and Joe that got their license removed. And Joe reluctantly so, but the way I heard was that Savage just didn't want to do it anymore, and he
did the 2 years, and then they asked him again, and he said no. Becky didn't want to do it no more. She was tired of it.
You'll never see them in that format again.
Nope, never. But
no, you'll well, like, that's what sucks is until there's another rotation of executives, like, that's going to be the next chance to see a licensed out convention. But like what they had going with both BotCon and JoeCon was pretty sweet. That was a pretty sweet get up, because they didn't have to do anything. All they had to do was bring a slideshow and a box of junk that isn't out yet.
right.
Like, that's it. That's all they had to do. Maybe a few cases, whatever. But like, the work on their end was not there.
I went to JoeCon in 2013, and of course I went last year, and I had a good time at both of them. I thought last year felt more like a show, like a convention. Like 2013, it was just like, man, I thought it'd be bigger than this, and I don't know. Like, I remember when Hasbro did their panel, his like Retaliation had just come out, and I guess it did well at the time. And it was maybe like, I can't remember when it came out. Did it come out in March or something? So it came out like maybe on a Wednesday or something, or I don't know. It hadn't been quite out. It was getting ready to hit the second weekend, and they were taking questions about it, and they were like, "Hey, are you guys going to do that helicopter that was in the movie, or this character?" And like, they were like, "Oh, I don't know. Should we do that?" And it's like, "You guys not playing? I mean, like, what is going on?" So
Yeah.
I can only imagine what conventions and it just, like you said, new crop of executives.
Yeah, the way I understand it, the team that was part, like, doing HasCon, like, wasn't Daryl DePriest on the HasCon team?
I don't even think he works for Hasbro anymore.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, right, he doesn't. I think that whole team is kind of like gone. I think the only one that had anything to do with it is still there, as John Warden. He's still working on Transformers, and I would think that in a few years it's going to be his turn out the door, recycle the brand team and get, quote unquote new blood in there. But like, that's what's funny is like John Warden was a GI Joe guy too. They took all the quote unquote Transformers guys out of the loop in, what was it, 14 or 15 or something like that, and rotated in some dudes from the Joe side of toy making. And it's just, like, so many weird choices that executive Hasbro makes. And I don't know if they maybe saw the kind of money that was generated by BotCon and JoeCon, and they were like, well, we can get a piece of this action.
Like
And then do what?
I said, like they need it.
Right. I mean, but a bean counter is going to look at that and be like, well,
it's really weird because it's like you go harken back to the days where Kirk was the brand manager of GI Joe, and I can't think off the top of my head who the brand manager of Transformers was. And Kirk like saw the brand through like beginning and end, and it's like, where's that consistency at? Like, why, if something works, why? If it's not broke, why fix it? Now I can understand
exactly.
like okay, so say like Mike's the brand manager of this podcast, and you're the co-brand manager, and I'm the new guy in. So hey, Mike, you've done really well. We want to promote Dakota, and then move you to run this brand, and then Dan's going to take his spot. I could see like movement like that, but like to wipe out an entire team and just start over, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean,
it really doesn't.
I mean, it works for like the Cleveland Browns, I guess, but I mean, like Hasbro is a little bit more, I don't know. That I told Mike a recent story. I don't know if I can repeat it on air or whatever, but like there was a meeting. I won't get into the specifics, but two executives had no clue as to why anybody would want GI Joe to return at all.
Wow.
And
that's like I don't know. I don't know.
I'll tell you off air if you want, but I don't know how much was in confidence, and I don't want to.
Right. Well, that's like, I don't know if you saw the most recent Pulse like fan survey, where you get like $5 off buying something in their store or whatever.
No.
One of the questions was, what convention did you attend or have interest in 2018? And they put BotCon 18 up there. Like, weird. Yeah, like there hasn't been a quote unquote BotCon in since 2016.
Well,
but they put BotCon.
They might get a cease and desist from Brian Savage on that.
Dude, yeah, if he gets wind of it. But it's like there was not a BotCon 18. I mean, like, I consider Pete's RoboCon to be that convention. I mean, it's clearly the spiritual successor. Maybe they got the confusion there, but still, it's like how like disassociated are you with your fandom that you didn't even know that, like, you're the reason there was not a BotCon 18 that you thought there was. Like, what,
Do you think that might be? Do you think it's that, or do you think it might have been some pre-programmed thing that they just never updated?
No, it had, dude. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 3 years, and they would have had to have been someone to put those options in, to manually type those options in, for the survey.
Kind of like we know there wasn't one, but people that don't know, we want them to click it so that we can show interest. I don't know. That's just weird. Yeah.
Like I said, like, and you could click multiple ones. Like for me, like, I clicked BotCon 18 and I clicked other just because, like I said, I view that as RoboCon, but I don't I don't know how they kind of viewed it. So it's like, if, well, there's a bunch of clicks for other, they could always like expand upon that. But it was just so like where your head's at, it's nonsense.
Well, what's interesting, and I'll just and I'll tell you off air if you want to hear it, but what I will say is, like, where they want to take a certain brand and where the buyers that would sell the brand to stores like me and whatnot, where they were at with it is like night and day difference. And they were like so shocked that why would anybody want something that old back, or, blah, 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 and it just, and they tried to explain it to them, and, it's like on deaf ears. It's so weird. and I don't know. That's just so weird. It's like I almost felt like I talked to Kirk. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Mike, how would you pronounce Kirk B's last name?
Bazigian.
Yeah, there you go. I talked to Kirk one day about it, and we kind of had our own opinions, like both in agreement on what's going on. But like, my thing was like, how could a company that is like the standard, like, not be in command of itself? I don't know. It's like, who's to tell them no? You know what I mean? Like the Star Wars Black Series. Like I have customers that buy 6-inch Legends, they buy 6-inch Black Series. They love that scale, and they're like, I don't know anything about GI Joe, but if they did 6-inch Joes, I'd buy them.
Well, that's like I think a lot of that kind of boils down to, like the time to make that voice heard is going to be at a toy fair, because that's usually when, all of the bulk, the buyings and the sellings and the things like that kind of go on. But like Hasbro shows up to Toy Fair, they show off like in my opinion, dude, it's been like 20% gold, 80% trash as far as like the brands I'm interested in are concerned. Sure. Not just Transformers. But like everyone that's there is like walking up to them and like giving their pecker a little kiss on the head. It's just like, thank you for all this wonderful trash.
Yeah, we don't have the tooling. And it's like, well, how do you not have the tooling? You're Hasbro. You make the tooling. And legally, they can't reuse like the Marvel Legends or Star Wars bodies because Disney owns the rights to that tooling.
I'd always wondered that, but like, thank you for clearing that up, because I was like, man, there were a bunch of missed opportunities for like just some Transformers characters from like Marvel Universe and GI Joe shared tooling.
Yeah, because I was like, well, I thought the Microman body was a Hasbro thing, and you just kind of expand it to 6 inches. But yeah, I got told why that was. It's a legal thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool, that makes sense. I understand that. But still, it's like you have kind of a generic body. They don't own that, and then you can kind of go from there. Is it like is John Disney really going to know? Like, oh, that Vulture, I think that's the Vulture's body, not General Hawk. I mean, like, they're not going to know that. But,
even if you tweak the tooling on it, but like that's the thing. I don't know. Like Disney probably has, a lockdown on all that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they probably got that stuff under lock and key.
Yeah. All right. We're getting our first topic now. Marvel Legends. Do you think they're running out of ideas? And the reason I bring this question up is if you look in the last 2 or 3 waves, they've been putting characters in there that didn't really matter as much, I guess you'd say. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like, I can't remember which wave it is. It has Union Jack in it. And
right. I think we've gotten a few of those, haven't we? A few Union Jacks.
This is the first one from Hasbro.
Oh, it is the first one from Hasbro. Like, I remember, and see, I'm probably thinking the 3 3/4 inch, because I know there's a 3 3/4 inch Union Jack.
Oh yeah, there was.
There was a 6-inch, but it must have been Toy Biz then, because it's just, it feels like some of these characters are putting out there, like the one with Professor Hulk. There's a blue guy or a black guy dressed in a blue outfit.
Yeah, it's one of the Serpent Society.
Right, it's kind of like, it's kind of an obscure character.
They were originally going to be the villains in Captain America 3, but they decided to go with Civil War.
Like that said, like, just I guess to kind of answer the topic, like even though as far as 6-inch goes, I'm really only interested in the Jim Lee X-Men, with a few odds and ends, like like the Hammer Cap, and like I hope they do in-game Iron Man with the gems in the hand, and Fat Thor and all that other stuff. If they do the big 3 from in-game, then I'm buying into that. But
give us a Fat Thor.
Other than that, dude, like I don't like I think that doing the obscure characters is great, especially for a lot of folks that have been collecting Marvel Legends for the last years at this point. I think that like I don't think they're running out of ideas, and like there's still like there's a lot of current comic book designs that they that they really should be doing. And like that's why I'm bummed about 3 3/4 inch. Usually 3 3/4 inch would do those current comic book designs. They'd be out like within a year from their debut in the book. Like Secret Empire Cap was one of the last 3 3/4 inch figures that they came out with, and it was like I think almost 6 months, or like right at a year after the Steve Rogers book had come out, and Secret Empire was still kind of going on at that time, and I love that. And it's like, where's my metal arm Thor? My unworthy Thor. I mean, they did the Odinson or whatever with Barnborn, but
we
we
talk about it at the shop all the time because we sell a lot of Marvel Legends. So I guess I'm going to be a little biased as a retailer. I'm going to say no, they haven't run out of ideas. As a fan, I'm going to say no, they haven't run out of ideas because, like, excuse me, I'm a big Thor fan, and we were talking about it the other day, and it's like they could do a Destroyer, build a figure. You could get the Warriors 3. You could get Thor in the Walt Simonson armor. You could get the Thor that you just talked about, and that's just Thor. You could get Carnilla, the Queen of the Norns. I mean, you could go really in depth. Baldar the Brave, like a Walt Simonson Baldar the Brave.
right.
Like I like that they're doing the Serpent Society because being a Cap fan, I always kind of thought they were kind of and plus a GI Joe fan. I thought it was kind of cool. There was like a serpent that was kind of like villain motif. And yeah, and like for me, there was one, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago when they started doing the Jim Lee X-Men or the kind of the 90 versions with like Cyclops and all that. I was making room on my shelf and redoing the shelves that I display them on. My wife was like, what are all those gaps for on your shelf? And I was like, oh, that's for I think it was like Guardians and X-Men figures getting ready to come out. And then there's like Cap figures. God, how many Marvel Legends are there? I'm like, baby, they got 5,000 characters. We're going to need a bigger house at some point.
Right.
I plan on getting all of them. I think they're cool. On a kind of a sidebar, McFarlane's got the DC character rights for toys for like the more like the kind of legend style figures. And if his Overwatch or his or not Overwatch, Fortnite figures are any indication, I think DC is going to be in a good spot with their 6-inch figures because they look really great. But yeah, I know there's another wave of Endgame coming, and I can't think of what's in it. I think Iron Man might be in that wave. But they'll probably make him like a Walgreens exclusive with the gauntlet and all that.
Yeah, that was such a weird choice to make Cap. The Hammer Cap, the
Walmart,
the Walmart one. I thought that was like that should have been a main wave thing. But like I said, I don't think they're I don't think they'll be running out of ideas anytime soon. And that's despite not collecting a 6-inch and being more of a 3 3/4 inch guy. And
Sorry
like
about that. Somebody just called my phone and it cut me out of the show there for a second. You were saying about the Cap with the hammer.
I was just saying that like it was silly that they made him a Walmart exclusive, but I also said I don't think that they're I don't think that they are running out of ideas, so to speak. There's always what's kind of going on in the current books. They always change costumes. There's there's the stuff with the War of the Realms going on right now.
Oh yeah.
They could always kind of draw from that,
It makes you wonder what on the Walmart one. I mean, makes you wonder how many they produced of that one, because I've gone since I found the initial batch I found. I've gone to 1, 2, 3, I think 4 of the Walmarts, and they've all had a few. There was one that had 5.
Isn't he in a case all to himself too?
Yeah, case of 8.
Yeah, so you gotta think how many Walmarts are out there, times
Mike,
how many cases.
You pick me up one because we can't find any in this area. Can't find it in Louisville, Lexington, or Southern Indiana at all.
We actually kept checking on our way up to Cincinnati. I kept checking. We kept getting closer and closer up there to see if Walmart had it. No Walmart's had it at all.
What's interesting is the Avengers Endgame Wave 1 and Wave 2, like Target's not carrying those at all. Like a Wave 2, we just got in 2 Wednesdays ago. So I had like 80 figures come in, and I've got 2 left. And like I'm the only shop in the area that got those.
The Professor Hulk one?
Yeah, even like
Oh
big
man.
box. Yeah, like no one's seen them at Walmart. Maybe I don't even think GameStop had them. Like before that, we got the X-Men wave in with Beast, and there's like I saw some of those out at big box. Like it's weird. Like sometimes we'll get it first, then they get it, and then sometimes they get it and we get a week later. But yeah, GameStop seems to be getting them, but I don't know how reliable GameStop's going to be in the future because I think they're in a bit of trouble right now.
I heard they were going away soon.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you know, like where my store is at right now, we moved it about a year and a half ago. The building that we're in was built 15 years ago, and the spot we're in was vacant. It's been vacant until we moved into it, and so everything got to be built out brand new and all that. There's a Tex-Mex restaurant called Salsaritas next to us, and then on the other side is an eyeglass place. But originally it was a Starbucks, and like whatever's in that spot never seems to make it. So I'm always hoping like, well, if they go out, I'm going to try to expand over there. But like there was a Starbucks there, and so like there was a Starbucks on the next street over, right there, and then I think they put one in like Target. Then they put one in Kroger, and it's like Starbucks realized, oh gosh, we have too many Starbucks in the area. We need to scale back, and they just kind of did that again because they took them all out of the Krogers in our area. GameStop's kind of the same way. Like when they bought, I can't remember the chain they bought, but literally in the same shopping complex, there was a GameStop and one right across the street. And I'm like, where's the sense in that? Like, just combine, get your best talent, make it one store. And so I think they're kind of one of those situations where they just kind of, hey, we're on top of the world. And then, the video game industry said, not really, and then just kind of remember when PS4 and Xbox Live was going to do the thing where you couldn't, like, if I would let you borrow a game, you couldn't do it because you had some type of code specific to your machine. And then they ended up not doing that. But I don't know, like that whole business model just seems to kind of have fallen out for them because I know they're trying to branch off into like Diamond Select toys and Hasbro toys, and I don't know, but I've heard not some good things about what's going on there. So, but they're a source for Legends too. I guess that's my point. They were getting Marvel Legends in kind of before like stores like me or Target or Walmart or even Walgreens. And it was just kind of, it's weird. Like Walgreens gets these exotic exclusives. GameStop gets them before anybody else. And then it's kind of a crapshoot as to who gets them next. But no, I love the Legends. I think they're really cool. I'm glad they're doing them. I typically have this rule that like, unless it's like a Cap, Iron Man, Thor, or Wolverine, one of those type characters, I won't do doubles. But like I'll do like the best version. So like my Toy Biz Yin and Jack, went into the used toy case 2 weeks ago and sold. And Hasbro Yin and Jack is proudly in this place right now. And honestly, they look like exactly the same figure. Because I was like, did I bring the wrong one home? And I was like, no, that's the Hasbro one.
Our next topic on that one. Yeah, I know how Dakota feels on this subject, but we'll still talk about it. Do you pop or not? Talking about Funko Pops. Do you collect them or not? As most people know, I collect. I enjoy them. I think it is an extra little gimmick you can have. Not give a little bit of part of your collection of a certain character that does not get something else, doesn't get an action figure or anything of that nature. So me personally, I currently have probably close to 300 Pops.
I do not pop, but I think if they were to ever make a Beast Wars Dinobot one, as much hell as I give you for collecting these little non-action figures, I would get a Beast Wars Dinobot if only for the Dinobot display. Being my favorite character, but if they did the full Beast Wars cast as Pops, like no, I'm okay with that. Like I don't
wouldn't get a Primal?
I would not get a Primal or a Megatron or a Waspinator or a Tarantulas or an Inferno. Wouldn't get any of them. I'd only get Dinobot just as a little kind of thing. Like it's just like that to me. Like Pops are murdering the action figure market. It's like someone's going for this little 21st century bobblehead essentially over like action figures. You know what I mean? And they're cool when you've got a wall of them, I guess, for your display. Nothing against people that collect them. I'm not trying to, be a super elitist or anything, but it's just not there. There's not in the cards for me. I think they're neat. I think if they were just like a kind of one-off thing or whatever, that's cool. But like getting full ensemble cast as like Funko Pops, take a break. Like go get an action figure and like support the toy industry of the last 50 years or whatever.
Well, bobblehead's been around for what, 100 years?
Exactly. Like this is a disgrace to the bobblehead fandom.
My shop was the first shop in our area to sell Pops, and we don't sell as many as some other shops do. Like we were selling them when they weren't cool, and they were kind of a unique item. But like, how cool is something when you can get it at like gas stations and Walgreens? You know what I mean? Like
right.
I probably had about 300 Pops myself. And I was listening to a YouTube show, I guess it was Ethan Van Sciver, and he had said something about Pops, kind of what you just said about them. He called them soulless action figures that have no action or something to that effect. And it kind of stuck in my head. And I would like look at them. I'm like, well, they don't really do anything. And they all look exactly the same except like a little slightly different paint deco. Now, I think they're cool. If I had all the money in the world and all the space in the world and all the time in the world, I'd probably continue to buy them. But I pretty much sold all my collection except for maybe like 2 little small shelves and some ones in my gym. Just like I've got a Sergeant Slaughter Pop. I've got like the Winnie the Pooh Pops for my son and a Dumbo Pop. And then like I think I've got in my office, I've got like 66 Batman, 89 Batman, Sir Roger Moore and Sir Sean Connery and Conan. And I mean, that's it. It's like, I sell them and we do a lot of special orders with them. But it just, for me, I just kind of moved out of, I guess I'm kind of like in between with you guys on them. Like I like them, but I don't like them enough to buy anymore. Now I think like the ones unique, like kind of like cartoon characters, like Rocky and Bullwinkle, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker. I think those are cool because they're all uniquely sculpted. But like,
I'm still waiting on an SH Figure Arts like old school like Hanna-Barbera cartoon figures to come out. Could you imagine a Figure Arts Bugs Bunny?
Oh my God, I'd have all of them.
Dude, yeah, like I would buy them. I'd absolutely buy them. I would get the crazy ones.
I'd play. I'm like, I'm not even drunk and I'm playing with them. Don't worry about it. It's like Bugs Bunny and Daffy, like they're fighting G.I. Joe or fighting Cobra. Actually, they'd fight Cobra.
Right.
But yeah, Pops they're cool. But one of my customers kind of referred to them as modern Beanie Babies.
Another fantastic example.
And I think, and I honestly, and they still make Beanie Babies. And if you're buying Beanie Babies because you like stuffed animals, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I used to buy them for my wife when we started dating, and I'd get some for myself because I'm a fan of stuffed animals. And now that a boy, a 2-year-old, yeah, I get him stuffed animals all the time, and they're cute and they're cool or whatever. But I feel like the bottom is about to drop out on Pops. I feel it because it can't sustain itself like that. I mean, like when you get to where you're getting the Ted Danson Cheers Pops, it's kind of like, what do you have left?
Right.
What I mean? Like, well, what obscure show can we do Pops on? And then I don't know. And then it's like, I do know I sold 4 of them and made like $400. So, but that was some rare ones that were, I guess, retired. But I'm like you. I'd rather spend the money on Legends, Transformers, vintage toys. I kind of, Mike, you're a wrestling fan, aren't you?
Yeah,
Okay,
wrestling.
I figured that's why you kind of said pop. Kind of a pun intended in two ways. I'm not. I'd like. I don't know. They're okay, but I'd rather spend the money on other things.
That's understandable. That's understandable. I mean,
But I don't fault people that like them. I mean, if that's your thing, you can go for it.
there's, certain ones I collect. I mean, it's now it's like they just got done putting out the whole entire list of pops that'll be available at San Diego Comic Con. It's like 70 some odd pops.
Oh my!
Out of all those 70, there's only one I want.
Which one is it?
Wong to go with my Avengers in-game pops.
Nice.
That's it. I mean, I've collected. Now I've got almost all the Avenger in-game pops, except for, I guess, what didn't come out yet. But I've gotten everything of those so far. I told myself I
That
wouldn't
sentence
do it again.
alone makes me so mad at where we are in the toy collecting industry. Is that you have almost the entire in-game crew in pops, but not in action figures.
That's because they didn't put it out.
I know it's time to hang the. It's time. It's time for me to hang
tell
my
you what,
hat.
they've given us, what was it? Valkyrie, War Machine. Let's see, all 10 from the Quantum Realm jump. All of them are out in Quantum Realm suits, glow in the dark Quantum Realm suits. Fat 4. We've gotten the dude 4. Where he looks like the dude.
Yeah, he
Big
looks like the dude.
Balbowski. You got the
What?
Fat
Wait,
4.
what? He looks like the dude from what?
He looks like the dude from Big Balbowski.
Big Balbowski.
What I said the wrong way?
It's Big Lebowski.
No.
He's got that pop too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay.
Back to what you were saying earlier about licensing and about staying on top of it, like for Funko's, good for Funko that they got the license to do those because they're doing something with it. Whereas Hasbro, who owns or has the Marvel license, they don't do like, oh, we're going to give you some of these, and we'll give you some of these. Like, just put them all out.
Yeah.
Well, that's another good thing about because it's not just Hasbro that has this action figure license for Marvel, even in the 6-inch scale. Like, there's what's that company coming out with the DC figures in 3 3/4 inch? Like, I feel like they're a few more good ideas, a few more good looking figures away from picking up a 3 3/4 inch Marvel license.
Spin
And just
is doing the kid-centric figures. The McFarlane Toys is doing the kind of like Legend-esque type figures.
What was the first one you named off?
I think it's Spin Master.
And you know who Spin Master is, Dakota? They're the ones that did that stupid ass egg thing for children. What was the thing called? Yeah, you turned it on and it picked out the shell and everything. Hatchable.
Oh, those Hatchimals? Hatchimals?
Yeah, oh my God, I went around everywhere to get that damn thing and it didn't even work right.
Yeah.
My little guy just got into like monster trucks. So we've been watching this Monster Jam show, and because he's all about trucks and cars. Like, he could, at 2.5, he could tell you what type of car is going down the street. It's kind of scary. So at Target, I was getting coffee one day at Target, and they had a whole like end cap of Monster Jam monster trucks. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get him some of these because he wasn't feeling good. And when I was opening them up, I was like, oh, these are made by Spin Master. And they're actually pretty cool because I've only heard bad things about Spin Master because I was like, why don't you know what they make? And then I saw these cars and I'm like, well, these are actually kind of cooler than the Hot Wheels monster trucks. They seem to be, I don't know, better detailed and hold up better, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it is weird that like in 2019, almost at 2016, good Lord, in 2019, you can almost complete the movie cast in Pops, but you can't in Marvel Legends. It's just that there is something wrong with that. You should be able to do it both.
Yeah. You should also like again, I'm a 3 3/4 inch guy, and like I'm so bummed that like the last 2 years we haven't had. I think the last year we had something was 2017 was the last wave of 3 3/4 inch from Marvel
I was so
figures.
excited when they announced they were going to do those because we were just like, oh man, they'll do a Quinjet, Avengers Mansion playset, Cap's motorcycle. We didn't get any of that really.
Yep, you got the two Street Fighter, the Marvel versus Capcom packs, and like again, like that's I've been wanting to pick up that Street Fighter Ryu, but if there's no other like Street Fighter or like other Capcom, I think they did like Mega Man versus Black Widow or something like that. If there's like nothing else, it's like, well, why am I? Why would I pick up just these two things? Like there's nothing else that's going to come with it.
Well, they kind of purposely killed the line when they took the articulation out and raised the price.
Yeah, because that Hydra cap from like the Secret Empire cap rather, he's missing. He's definitely missing some crucial articulation. He's got it where it counts, I would say, but even then, like I would still with that limited articulation, I would still buy into those. They still had the hips, the knees, the ankles, the shoulders, elbows, head, and I think the torso was the thing where they didn't have it. And it's like we got like a few Thor Ragnarok 2-packs, and I remember that Thor was he was minus some much needed articulation. But like I said, man, I think another company's gonna swoop in and ask Marvel, or get something set up for a license for this 3 3/4 inch toys, and they'll give it to them. And like it's just waiting on that moment. But to get like current comic book stuff, for my Marvel 3 3/4 inch display, like that's all I'm after at this point. Any company can do it. I don't care. I don't care about the price. Jazzwares has really impressed me lately, and like they did the Assassin's Creed figures, and I thought they were gonna do like the Bayek and the eye, it's like they stopped at the 3 because like Fortnite really took off for them, and I'm like, come on, man.
Well, let me say Fortnite did really well.
Yeah, it did, but like so they kind of kiboshed the Assassin's Creed line, and they were like, well, we'll release those ones that we showed off at Toy Fair last year, this year, and we're midway into this year, and they still haven't released those figures, and I'm just like, come on, dude! Like I really liked Assassin's Creed Origins, and Bayek was always like I thought he had just a cool look to him, so I really wanted a figure of Bayek and Ezio, and I think there was another one that they had on display.
Do you remember when Marvel was doing the most current Secret Wars? They were supposed to do some tie-ins with toys, like they were going to kind of. I can't remember if it was a Toy Fair or at some convention they were talking about it, and they never really followed through with it. Like they were going to do like, almost like how they did back in the day with the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars line, that Mattel did. So we're going to do Secret Wars. So we're going to make figures out of the comic series, and they were going to be like 3 3/4 scale. They're going to be like comic packs, 3-packs, single carded. Because like, I was really jazzed about that.
See, I never heard that, and I know it didn't come to pass, but they did a couple of those like comic 2-packs. Like that's how we got 3 3/4 inch Jane Foster Thor and Odin's son, and stuff like that. And like most of those comic 2-packs were like reuses of either other comic 2-packs or just like the figures everyone else already had in a deco that was less desirable than the ones that were single packed.
I'll tell you what, though. Hasbro does get it right when they do comic packs. I think that's a really great idea. They did it with Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Marvel. I just think that's kind of a fun idea.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll hold the next subject off from next episode. Let's talk about, we're going to sign out here just a little bit, but we usually, at the beginning of the show, we usually do hauls, but we just got a real talk all of a sudden. Next thing you know, it was 40 minutes later.
Sorry about that. I blame myself.
That's okay. When we do hauls, usually we just tell people what we got in the past week or two. So, Dan, did you get anything for yourself, not for your shop, but for you and your collection?
Let's see. I gotta walk out of the other room to look and see what I got. I picked up a Diamond Gallery Thor statue where he's kind of smashing his hammer on the ground. and Lightning's coming out. I
Nice.
remember the little GI Joe. You put it on your belt and you could hold like 3 figures in it. Like
Oh, that's cool.
I got one of those. I got one of those Monday. We have a place. It's a kind of like not really the other end of town, but like in another, like a little town, a couple expressway ramps away, and it's almost like a peddler's mall for toys. It's the Louisville Toy and Antique Mall, and everything in there is like on consignment. And like I used to take my son in there, and get him Hot Wheels and stuff, and I'd find stuff for me or the shop. But that's where I got the little GI Joe thing. So that, and I guess last week I brought home that Marvel Legends wave we were talking about with Professor Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, I really want that wave. I heard it wouldn't come out. Everywhere where I've been looking at it said it didn't come out till like July.
Oh no, we got 10 cases 2 Wednesdays ago, I think.
Wow. Who'd you get yours through?
I go through Southern Hobby, Entertainment Earth, or Diamond Distribution.
I got mine through Diamond. Or not Diamond. I got mine through Entertainment Earth. And they say July.
You need figures, let me know, man. I ship to you.
All right. I remember that.
Yeah, give me a list of what you need, because I'm getting 2 more cases of them on July 3rd. Those are actually coming from Diamond because Southern Hobby sold out. Because I still have a rescue I have to fill for somebody, and I got one guy that can't make up his mind if he wants Loki or not. Kind of a pretty easy decision. Either you want him or no, because if I put him on the shelf, he's going to be gone that day.
Right.
So yeah, if you need any of those, Mike, let me know.
Oh well, Dakota, I know we've talked about yours, but what did you get?
Dude, just scroll down a few posts on my Twitter. Like it was just too much. Like, and the way I was able to name it off 2 nights ago was I was looking at the picture on my phone, which I've since deleted.
That's why I was trying to find my picture on my phone. I can't find it, so I'm kind of in the same boat. If you want to see what I got in the last couple weeks, you can go to my Twitter account underneath Angry Mike. One thing I did get for me and Dakota both was the Worthy cap. I think I picked it up. It was this week. I picked it up for us and a bunch of our guys off our crew.
So excited. So excited for it.
Yeah, I've been messing around with it, trying to give it a good pose. But
oh man, like I already know, because I have, like Cap picked up the hammer in Secret Empire after he kicked Jane Foster into another weird dimension, and she dropped the hammer on the front lawn of the White House, and or maybe it was the Capitol steps or whatever, I can't remember, but whenever he lifted that thing up and showed the world that even though he was evil, he was still worthy. Even though that's how I have my Secret Empire cap posed, that's exactly how I'm gonna pose the in-game cap.
Well, like this here.
Just hang on. Yeah, except he was looking up at the hammer whenever he was holding it.
Yeah, you don't get it good.
Do you remember in the last couple of years when Sam Wilson took over his cap and like Steve was old?
Yep.
And I can't remember if Jane was Thor yet or not.
Nope.
I so badly wanted them to give Steve Rogers the hammer, so you'd have old man Steve Rogers with that walking stick. And could you imagine?
Oh yeah.
People trying to start crap with him, and he just hits it, and now he's like Thor with Captain America's tactical skills. Like how amazing that would have been.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, that 2015 all new, all different Marvel thing really like you can see how they're still kind of, I don't know if you read the books or not, like how they're kind of running, I would say, damage control from some of those stories.
Oh, I can. And I own a comic book store. I can tell you firsthand, they ran off a lot of customers.
Yeah, I know. Like I stopped putting everything but Captain America and I think X-Men. I think those were the only 2 Marvel titles. And I was reading Iron Man and Thor and Avengers and and all that other stuff at the time. I just canceled all those books and I just waited. As soon as Secret Empire came around, that's whenever or the Legacy stuff came around. Like that's whenever I decided to start picking up Thor. I think I picked it up at Legacy 700 whenever they were kind of wrapping up Jane Foster's
Oh yeah.
Run with the Hammer. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, yeah, women empowerment, blah blah blah, but like, I just don't give a shit about Jane Foster as Thor. It's just not like, if they would have maybe if it would have been Sith, I think I would have kept reading it. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Yeah,
But
it's
you know the story
yeah.
behind all that? Why they did all that?
I never really dug into the politics of that.
Joe Quesada was editor in chief of Marvel for a really long time, and credit him for getting them in a really great position. He had a few misses, but he had more hits than misses.
Right.
Axel Alonso had taken over as editor in chief. He was a good group editor for X-Men, but not really good manager of the business. So when they were gearing up to do Secret Wars, they 2014. Let me back up. 2014 is when they killed Wolverine off. So 2014, if you were a Marvel employee, your Marvel contracts were starting to come up. Now you were getting Disney contracts. So Disney put out an edict to Marvel. They were like, "Look, you guys haven't created a unique character in 20 years, like not a derivative, not like Winter Soldier or Scarlet Spider, but like a." And I like looked it up. It's like, well, man, Domino, Cable, and Deadpool were the last three kind of unique original characters. They weren't a derivative of like Spider-Man or Thor or somebody like that.
Right.
So the idea was, so like, say you and I created a character, and Marvel Studios used it in a movie, we now get movie royalties for that character, and you're pretty much set. So Axel Alonso, not being a good manager of the company, I'm not a big Axel Alonso fan. His first interview he did as editor in chief, he was talking about how you did MMA, which basically meant he just did MMA training to be in shape, not to be a fighter. Because I used to do that, and I would never, ever, ever, ever say I did the same stuff the fighters do, because that's like a profession, an art, and you got to have a certain mindset to do that.
I agree.
I did it to be in shape, and I know he was doing the same thing, but he was trying to act like he was like a fighter. So he's like, well, like if Peter David has an idea about doing a book and he pitches it to me, I'm sitting there thinking, can Peter last one round in the octagon? And if I think he can, I approve the book. And I'm like, what an a-hole. So
Jesus.
I'm like, who are you impressing? So Alonzo, Jason Aaron was already going to do the Jane Foster story. So he got this great idea, like after Secret Wars, let's just replace everybody, the entire line. And see, here was the problem. Like when 2015 rolled around and Secret Wars was going, they canceled their entire line of books. And then they had all the ancillary titles where they should have kept the books going and then do the ancillary titles as well. You just would have had more in your publishing catalog, but you would have made more money. If everybody would have made more money. So I had families coming in that saw Avengers 2 in May, and they were like, oh man, we want to get into the Avenger comics. Where are they? And I was like, well, there's not any current Avenger comics until October. And they're like, well, this is May. And I'm like, well, I know they're doing this thing called Secret Wars. Okay, well, whatever. Where are the Avenger comics at? And I'm like, because nobody was that stupid that they wouldn't have a comic when they have a hit movie out. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I'm like, well, I've got graphic novels. I've got the older stuff. Nobody wants the stuff that's new. And I'm like, well, there's not anything. So, well, you just don't know what you're doing. So imagine they go to another store, maybe two more stores, and they get that same, probably not the same response, but like, oh, there's not any. Well, I'm sorry, little Johnny, just comic books aren't going to be a thing. So that was a terrible opportunity they had missed. So then, because I think that movie, a lot of people don't like 2, but it did $1 billion.
I loved it. Yeah.
So actually, Endgame makes 2 even better. They're Endgame and Infinity War. So
but at least they have. I was gonna say at least they have the Avengers books going on with those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they when they brought everything back, that's when he got the bright idea of replacing everybody, and like that's not what Disney wanted. They didn't want a 15-year-old Iron Man girl. They didn't want Amadeus Cho as Hulk. He was already a character. Like they wanted like another create a new thing like a Deadpool or something like that. So then when people tried to come back,
a new original. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was different, and so that drove people away.
And it's funny. It's funny. Like it's like you saying that. It's really funny, but it's like going into this next saga of MCU movies. It looks very much like all new, all different Marvel.
And they're going to tank just like the comics did.
Dude, honestly, like Endgame left me feeling such a finality. I've said it a million times at this point. that I'll go see Spider-Man Far From Home as like the epilogue to the Infinity Saga. And after that, I'll probably go see Guardians 3. Whenever they bring X-Men back, that's when I'll kind of re-enter the fold.
I'm excited about Fantastic Four because it sounds like X-Men is going to be 10 years out.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan. I'm not super big on the family.
I don't know about the rumors about The Rock playing Ben Grimm. I'm like, I don't know how that works out because Ben's supposed to be Jewish from like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Not from, like part Samoan. I mean, I love The Rock. Don't get me wrong.
They'll probably switch it all up where nothing makes any sense.
Like well, hopefully they learned the lesson from Fox in that regard.
Yeah,
probably not.
But yeah, right. But I feel like just real quick. I feel like they learned. I feel like they have learned from shortcomings from other companies and from themselves. But I see why they would want to try the all new, all different approach. But I feel like they would just dip their toes in it to see what the real.
Well, do you know who Monica Rambeau is?
Yeah.
Yeah, she should have been Captain Marvel, and that organically solves that issue.
Yeah.
You have a prominent character, a woman of color, that's not just like thrown in your face. Like the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel book is getting ready to get canceled for like the 8th time in 5 years.
I know, dude. She's had so many reboots, but apparently that movie did $1 billion. So who knows?
Well, there's a lot of kind of speculation that Disney was buying up tickets because a lot of people were taking pictures on opening weekend, and the theaters were not full.
I did read into that, and I love a good conspiracy, but I think
Disney, I wouldn't put it past them, but I think they were so scared of having that being a solo, and that would affect Endgame. And I'm like, there's nothing they could do that would affect Endgame. Like, you don't even have to show a movie trailer for Endgame. I was going to go.
Right.
Because you saw what a limited role she had in Endgame.
14 minutes.
No, that's 14 minutes too long.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, dude. Let me speak, I guess, as the minority here. I like Carol Danvers as a supporting character. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of current comic book and, of course, movie Carol Danvers. Like Carol Danvers has never been the larger than life, world famous character. She's always played second fiddle. And like that's why I think that, whenever they did the House of M story, where it was like her and Wonder Man were like the celebrity superheroes, or whatever. Like that's what made that, like that whole kind of like, because House of M was supposed to be everyone's like, greatest desires coming true or whatever. Like that's what's like that's the Carol Danvers I wanted to see. I wanted to see the the underappreciated, you know what I mean? Like that's I felt like that would have been a far more compelling story than
I love Carol Danvers until they turned her into Carl Manvers in the comics.
I said that like a lot of people were like, oh, I love the like whenever they did the short haircut. As soon as that popped up on screen, I was like, ew.
It's like, I've always liked her as when she was Miss Marvel. I thought she was a cool character. She had a lot of great history. She was raped by Korvac. Rogue stole her personality and her powers and messed her up.
Mm-hmm.
She was in space with the Starjammers as binary. She came back to Earth and became Warbird and was an alcoholic. And Tony Stark helped her through that. She's
had a good story as Miss Marvel, but not as Captain Marvel. And it's so funny, dude. I love seeing people like talk about like she has short hair in the comics, but it's like, dude, she hasn't had short hair in the comics since I think it was Avengers, the new Jason Aaron Avengers #7, where Tony tried to bang her. Like she's had long hair ever since then.
No, she's had short hair in the comics in her own book because because people didn't like, they were like, what is going on? Because like there was an edict going out that you can't draw her with hips and boobs anymore. And they kind of gave her a man chin. It was like, is she transitioning? If she is, then I mean, just run with it. But like, I don't know.
Well, really I know that in her own book, like I remember seeing like them advertising the Captain Marvel #1 however many months back, and they,
God,
she
which
was
Captain Marvel #1? There's been like 10 of them.
exact. Well, it was the most recent one. She had like the long hair and the very fit figure.
Yeah.
But around that time, in Jason Aaron's Avengers, it was shortly after the thing with the Celestials went down.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and Tony Stark was hitting on her, and she had long hair, and I was like all these people that want to try to defend that stupid ass haircut. I was like, y'all don't read the comics, because even in War of the Realms, she has long hair.
How do you like Jason Aaron's Avengers right now?
Dude, so far I'm enjoying it. Like this whole the vampire thing. I'm not a big Blade. I'm a big Blade fan when he's a standalone character,
Sure.
but I've never seen him as like a group guy. But Jason Aaron's Avengers, I have been digging that. I love the first kind of story arc. I like the deal where they were getting into it with Namor and the underwater Atlanteans and all that. I like the thing they're doing with like Coulson putting together the Squadron Supreme. Yeah. Like I think once War of the Realms has run its course and we get back to that kind of meat and potatoes, with Avengers, I think that's really going to take off.
I
pretty well.
I like it too. Like, I'm not ready to say I love it. Like, I loved Hickman's Avengers until the end, and I'm excited for him to do House of X and Powers of X, because
I reserved mine today.
Every time I want to get back into X-Men, no, it's getting canceled, and they're going to reboot it, and I'm just like, oh, I give up. And I've always said, I was like last year, one of my regulars that's a big Hickman fan was saying, did you hear the thing at the Marvel Summit? And I was like, no, what? And he said, Hickman was there. And so I said, what are you still doing here? Do you still work here? And he goes, maybe. And I said, he's either going to do X-Men or he's going to do the space stuff, because he'd be great at either or. And and Jerry Duggan did Guardians, which I really like that. And Cates' Guardians is knocking it out the park. I was like, dude, he's doing the X books. It's so cool, because he's the perfect
don't get
guy
me
to
wrong,
do
man.
that.
I really liked the blue and gold books that ran from, what was it, like 16 to 18?
I think they misinterpreted what people wanted. I think when people were saying like they wanted blue and gold back, they wanted like Uncanny X-Men Gold Team, X-Men Blue Team. They didn't want them called like X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold. They just wanted that kind of
right. I still like those stories though, for what it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, they had some good stuff in there.
I liked the disassembled 10-part thing, and so far Uncanny has been a fun read. I've enjoyed reading Uncanny, but I'm also really looking forward to Hickman doing the House of X, Powers of X thing, and then kind of keeping that story going. Because it's like, I remember, I think I watched a video. He was like, we're still going to keep continuity. It's not, it's going to not necessarily be a soft reboot. It's just going to be like the things that are happening now still matters, and we're just going to run with it.
See, I'd heard it was going to be a hard reboot, but I mean, I'm good either way.
Yeah. Oh, really? And see, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the stuff going on right now with Cyclops is really good. And with him and Wolverine.
Well, it just feels like really hard to do like X-Men properly if you don't have Chuck, if you don't have Wovie, if you don't have Cyclops, you don't have Jean. Because like they tried to have Kitty Pryde lead the X-Men in the Ultimate books, and that didn't really work. Because Ultimate X-Men, with that Ultimatum storyline, they killed all the best characters, and it's almost like it's almost like WWE. There's no one to take over, so you got like your mid card and your lower card are like now your main roster, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's for Mike there to make sure he's still awake. Hey, how about All In selling out in 15 minutes?
What sold out?
All In. It's the next. Am I right? That's the next AEW pay-per-view.
He doesn't keep up with wrestling. It's damn, what's the name of it? Whichever one's in Chicago. It's not All In. I don't think.
There's something. Something.
There's big rumors that CM Punk's going to show up.
I'd save him for your first TV.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting, though. But
they're in Chicago. It's his hometown.
Sure.
So I can't see him not. If he does go to AEW, that's what they'd give him at that. Just like Moxley, he lives in Vegas. and that's where he debuted. That was Vegas.
Mike, did you hear something about Roman Reigns and Vince McMahon having heat in Saudi Arabia?
Yes, he is very pissed off because the reason they talked him into going to Saudi, because he did not want to go to Saudi Arabia. A lot of those wrestlers do not want to go to Saudi Arabia. And he went over there because he was told that he would go over Shane McMahon. And it was told right before he walked out to his entrance music that, okay, you're going to lose now.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's pissed off at that. And from what I read on it is that he has stated he will not go to the one in November. But here's what's funny is that that's on a Friday night. Saudi Arabia wants theirs on Friday nights. October is when they move SmackDown to Fox.
Yep,
and their Friday night. So they were even discussing how there's going to be like 2 different crews. And they're going to do it twice, but I think the whole, and you see where they said that Saudi Arabia, it was like over 100 degrees around the ring area.
Jesus.
Well, everybody crapped all over Undertaker and Goldberg.
Well, did you watch it? I mean, let's be honest. It's a shit match. It was horrible.
It was, but my complaint is like Goldberg hadn't wrestled in 2 years. Undertaker had in like 8 months or whatever. Work some dark matches to get the ring rust out.
They should have practiced. They should have done something together. From what I read, they did nothing until they showed up there.
Now Goldberg's in phenomenal shape, but because you're in phenomenal shape doesn't mean you're in wrestling shape. Look at The Rock. He's probably lost 10 pounds sweating. But
right.
But like the whole thing, see, I don't. Was there anything about how Undertaker and Goldberg went down with the Roman thing? Because I thought he was mad about that, but it was the Shane thing you said.
Yeah, Roman was mad because he was lied to until he was told one thing, and then when he went out to his music is when they changed it up.
Wow.
And he got pissed, which I don't blame him. And you've already told me you talked me into doing it that I didn't want to do to begin with. And now you're lying. Now you've lied to me to get me over here, basically. I mean, AEW is a big threat to WWE because
I wouldn't normally say like, oh, WWE needs to be worried, but after watching Double or Nothing, I felt like I was watching the resurgence of WCW. The production quality, the ring, everything about it was just right. Not overproduced, not overscripted, not underproduced. And I was like, after that pay-per-view, I said, let's see how Raw and SmackDown are. And it was business as usual. And I was like, yep, WWE, I'd be sweating bullets right now. And I guarantee you that first week of TV, although they're not on the same night, at least not yet.
Their ratings.
The ratings are going to be through the roof.
Yep.
Because it's a curiosity factor.
Another thing on that is that, it was shit, I don't forget what I was going to say now. Old age.
I tell my son I'm vintage. Don't admit to being old. Just say you're getting vintage.
Getting vintage, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the revival. They've been offered like $500,000 a year for 5 years, and they've turned it down.
Well, they just re-signed. Was it Mike and Maria Kanellis or something?
Yeah, really. Who gives a shit about those two?
Well, the thing is, they don't want the perception that people are jumping ship, so they're signing as many people as they can, whether they use them or not.
Well,
the only reason they signed JR to a 2-year deal and they picked up Bruce Pritchard is because they didn't want him going to both of them going to AEW. Because could you imagine JR and the King doing commentary again?
Well, JR is at AEW.
No, he is, but I'm talking about King and Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard's in creative and all that.
Okay.
Yeah,
they need to get rid of it. Is it Russo doing the writing?
No, with who?
For WWE.
No, No, they don't. They wouldn't. No one wants to touch Russo.
For some reason, he is. I mean, the whole story. Take this for example.
He's like what Chuck Austin is to comics. Nobody wants him.
Well, it's like look at EC3 and all the people who come up from NXT. They do really well in NXT, but as soon as they get to the main roster, they're shit on. EC3 has been shit on big time. He will not resign. He's the one now. Luke Harper wants out. Sasha Banks wants out. The Revival wanted out, but apparently their contract is up. I think it's April of next year. They've refused to sign anything. Now, the only two superstars I heard of as of late that re-signed, which I couldn't believe it, was AJ Styles and the Usos. Oh,
I could see that.
Dakota fell off. So, but yeah.
Do you think Roman Reigns would leave?
No.
See, I could see him leaving and going and getting over there.
I think, what's his name? Seth Rollins would.
He could go over and get so much heel heat because you could have your babyface cut a promo on him like, man, you're the reason we all came over here to not be you, and now you're here. Yeah, I think that I think they're in some trouble, man, and I don't think they're doing anything to make it better. And I was sitting there. It was the night. It was the Monday Raw. Monday Night Raw. It was the night after the Battle of Winterfell episode in Game of Thrones, because me and my wife watched that. That Monday, I went to go see Endgame, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch Raw and read some comic books. And I'm sitting there, and the Viking Raider War Experience, whatever the hell that's called, they're doing something, and I'm just like, wow, I just saw Endgame and watched Game of Thrones last night, and I'm watching this bullshit. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, they didn't do them right.
They were I tried again, and I've come up with it, man. WWE has reverted to WWF, a la 94 to early 96, with Bastion Booger and Doink the Clown and all that goofiness.
Yeah.
Kevin Diesel is your champ, but with overproduced and in HD and overscripted.
Yeah,
it is. I'm just like, this is terrible.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and sign out on this episode. Dakota had to go. It's very funny. He had to go get groceries so he can make tacos tonight. So you can find him everywhere as Primal Sabbath. Daniel, go ahead and tell people where they can find you again.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Thompson 2727. You can also find me through ZoneComicShop.com or Zone Comic Shop on Facebook. Or you can just come in my store and find me.
There you go. And you can find me everywhere as Angry Mike. Also, you can find me, Friday. Tomorrow night, me and Primal Sev will be on Cybercast. And then next Wednesday, we'll be on Stasis Lock. So thank you, everyone who watched and who will be watching later on the video upload. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man.